Hello. So recently there has been a number of documents to see the light of day in this community. Some are about Nikki and that whole situation. Some are about Lorne's legal troubles, and there are many, many more to discuss. And I decided about a week ago that I would like to start a series on this topic of reading Lorne Armstrong related things. The only problem is that those documents are like 11 and 12 pages long. I think that we should start with one of my favorite Lorne written items, which is a warning letter to Lorne, warning him about Ramona and Emma during that time it was happening. Where is that? Where is it? Where is it? So before we start, a little bit of context is always welcomed. It is August of 2017, and Lorne and Ramona's relationship are on the rocks. They are about to break up in 10 days. Ramona, on the 28th, will live stream their breakup. The therapists have declared that he is going to be filing for divorce in 2 weeks, and he asks Ramona on a date. Lorne and Ramona are taking a break right now, so of course Ramona accepts the date, and Lorne doesn't like that at all. Lorne is very obsessed with Ramona, and while all this is going down, on August 18th, 2017, Lorne gets a lovely letter from an anonymous individual warning him about Ramona and Emma, and that is what we're going to read today. Dear Lorne, hello, I'm writing this letter to please stop talking to Emma and Ramona. I wrote you around the time your computer was taken away, so I don't know if you read the email or not, but I told you for your sake, I hope they aren't winding you up, but they most certainly are. So, this individual decided that he or she does not like the catfishing that has been going on with Emma and Ramona, and has decided to take it up to Lorne and tell him everything. Nothing is above criticism, so I'm perfectly fine with someone deciding that this isn't a nice thing to do and telling Lorne about it. From what I have made at this awful mess is that Ramona has a boyfriend slash husband and is simply playing with your life, and she has zero morals to do something like this to you. I don't know if there are zero morals. You could definitely question people who catfish. I'm not going to sit here and say that catfishing Lorne is 100% in the right, but I'm also not going to sit here and tell you that catfishing Lorne is 100% in the wrong either. It can really be debated on. You paid your debt to society and then some, and for these two women to do you like this is a crime in itself. I have a huge problem with this line, and I'm going to tell you why. Imagine, if you will, you and your childhood friend are in preschool or kindergarten, and you guys are having a good old time. But then you guys get into a fight, and the fight, it lasts a few seconds. You guys both toss hands at each other, but then the teacher finds out that you guys are fighting, and of course the teacher has to punish you. So the teacher decides to send both of you into a separate corner of the room. You have to wait like 10 minutes before you can go and play again in like the playground or something. Now, after you get out of timeout and before you go back to the playground, the teacher has you apologize to your friend for starting the fight. So this example is an example I use to describe a punishment and then someone who is paying their debt for that punishment. In my scenario, the punishment for fighting was to sit out some time from playing on the playground, but in due time, you paid your debt, quote unquote, to society by apologizing to your friend. And I kind of see this Lorne thing the same way. He had a crime which was trying to have sex with a 13-year-old, and his punishment was going to prison for it. His debt to society wasn't paid for going to jail. That doesn't make any sense. He got punished for it. So how does he pay his debt for society is the question. And the answer, at least for me, it changes for some people. But for me, at first it starts with him passing his sex offender class, which, as we all know, he hasn't done yet. So up to this day, he hasn't paid his debt to society, or at least started to. I also find this very disingenuous when someone says you paid your debt to society, but when we're actually talking in money, Lorne hasn't paid off Betty yet. So I guess we're just gonna ignore that fact. I can't understand why people who are close to you haven't seen this going on and told you. That's because nobody cares. I don't think Roy is involved in all this, not yet. He seems to get more involved when he comes in. And as for Mama Gwen, she definitely knows that Lorne is getting catfished, but she simply just doesn't care because Lorne won't listen. These hours and hours of calls uploaded to YouTube are mind-blowing, that they are just playing with your life and emotions. Yeah, there are hours and hours of call uploaded to YouTube, definitely around this time, especially 10 days away from the live stream. Are they playing with his life and emotions? They are, but Lorne's really letting it all happen to him. Andrew Burkett is nothing short of obsessed with you, and he knows all too well what these two are up to. I wasn't around when all this was going on, of course. I've barely been in this community for a year. It's almost a year, but not close. Andrew Burkett is nothing short of obsessed with you, which I don't think he is, and he knows all too well what these two are up to. Okay? You know all too well what these two are up to. Thousands of people know all too well what these people are up to. What makes Andrew Burkett different from those other people? You only call out Andrew Burkett because Lorne knows who Andrew Burkett is, but other than that, I mean, like, you could have put anyone's name. A lot of people know that this is going on, and a lot of people aren't doing anything about it. So I don't know. I don't know. This seems like an unnecessary line to me. When you said in your last call, I heard the other day, was that you can only get the truth from Emma because Ramona doesn't tell you things. It made me mad and sad. I will not comment on this line, but I beg of you to remember it because it will become important later. They go out of their way to make you jealous at men that don't even exist, and that's just plain cruel. You see, they don't really go out of their way, in my opinion. With the doctor, Ramona really just suggested it, and of course we hear it in the first call ever posted by Ramona, or of Ramona. It's really Lorne who escalates it further, and I have read some of the Nikki documents, which we will be reading, of course, in another episode. But Lorne has shown that he is the aggressor when it comes to other men in people's lives, so even mentioning the doctor got him upset. So I don't think that it was more of Ramona and Emma making Lorne jealous of men that don't exist. It was more of, this man doesn't exist, but I say he's in my life, and now Lorne is jealous because there is a man present. This Ramona person must have a stone cold heart like Emma. I'm sorry for what they have done to you, and they all have blood on their hands. Very, very graphic wording, but I guess they all have blood on their hands. I feel bad for your mom too. This can't be easy for her either. I feel bad. I feel bad for people who get involved that shouldn't really be involved, but the Catfish do a pretty good job at just bleeping out names and only keeping to Lorne. And as Ramona said, I think one time, Ramona doesn't really directly call Mama Gwen. It's usually Lorne and Ramona on a call, and then Lorne decides to bring Mama Gwen on for some reason. So as long as it's like that, I think it's perfectly fine. I hope you find a job soon, and I'm glad you quit drinking. Yay, good for you. Take care, Lorne, and be well. He definitely starts drinking after this a lot more because, you know, it's going to get exposed in 10 days. But that isn't all we have. Before I let you out of here, I want to show you these few clips I found while listening to a bunch of Ramona calls.
And there's this one here. This was after the 17th, too.
As I was saying.
That's all I heard the other day was that you can only get the truth from Emma because Ramona doesn't tell you things that made me mad and sad.
Do what?
Try that again. Your last call I heard the other day was that you can only get the truth from Emma because Ramona doesn't tell you things. Made me mad and sad. There was a letter that I got. You've got a copy of the letter.
What?
From Cincinnati. You've got a copy of the letter. You've got a copy of the letter. I sent you a copy of the letter. That letter from Michelle from Cincinnati, Ohio.
How'd you send me a copy of the letter?
I sent you a copy when I got the letter.
Oh, the one that you took a picture of.
I sent both you and Emma a copy.
I thought, that letter that you burned?
Yeah.
So this is another one of your lies?
No.
Well, what, Lorne? You said you burned that letter.
I did.
So then why would you be reading it like you just did?
Because I wrote down that part of it.
Lorne, okay, you are full of complete shit. You're absolutely full of shit.
You think what you want. But those questions I had when it came to that part, I wrote that down before I burned it. So I wanted to know about it.
So as you heard in those clips, Lorne receives this letter on August 18th, 2017, and he decides that he's going to take a picture of these letters and he is going to show them to Emma and Ramona. And after talking to both Emma and Ramona, he decides that he should burn these letters. He decides to completely get rid of them. I find it very funny. It's like if you were stuck in a simulation and everyone around you knows that this is a simulation, but they don't tell you it's a simulation. And then you finally get a piece of evidence that proves 100% that you're in a simulation. And instead of using it or even keeping it, you listen to someone who says, oh, that's not real. And then you not only not keep it and not believe it, but you completely destroy it. Like there's no point. But of course, I want to bring you back to the line I said previously. I heard the other day that you can only get the truth from Emma because Ramona doesn't tell you things. It made me mad and sad. Not only did Lorne burn the letter, but he also decided that out of this entire letter exposing Emma and Ramona and the doctor and the therapist, he decides to remember and write down one line before burning this entire letter. So that's what I want to ask all of you. Out of the entire letter that exposes everything to Lorne, he not only gets rid of it, but decides to write down one thing. And the question I have is, why did he do that? Why didn't he just keep the entire letter? Why did he burn it? Why did he write down that one thing instead of writing down Emma and Ramona are fake, the doctor's fake, all of this is fake? Why? The only answer I can really think of is that this letter was futile in its purpose of warning Lorne about all of this stuff. The reason I say that is because Lorne, of course, burned the entire letter except for that one line. While listening to Ramona calls, I remember Lorne pointing out to Ramona while they were arguing that Emma has to tell him everything that Ramona is relaying to her because they don't talk anymore. And Lorne likes to ham on this point that they don't talk anymore. We don't talk like we used to talk. When we used to talk on the phone for like 14 hours, even though they weren't really talking. They were just on the phone with each other silently while they were doing their thing. But they were together, so...
Why are you so involved with Emma?
How am I so involved with Emma?
She's been telling me things that you said.
What are you talking about?
She's been the one that's telling me stuff that you've said. She's saying that you say this, you say that. Every time I turn around, she knows more about what you say than I know about what you say now.
Lorne really wants to get this idea in Ramona's head, like, hey, it used to be like this, now you're not talking to me anymore. Why aren't you talking to me anymore? So he read this entire letter, and instead of reading the facts of the letter, he took what he can use to prove something that he wants to prove. He wants to prove to Ramona that they aren't talking anymore. So he decides to take the mad and sad line, which proves that Lorne isn't talking to Ramona that much, and it proves that Emma is talking to Lorne to get information from Ramona because they don't talk. And now Lorne is just using the information from that letter and just disregarding everything from it. And I think that's kind of telling. If you guys have any other ideas about why he decided to remember that line out of the entire letter, I'd like to hear it. But other than that, that's really all I have for you. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really want to do more of these because there's so much to read, and reading is fun. So I guess that's all I have for you today. I will see you in the next video.